The Air Force has begun increasing bomber task force patrols to make sure America and its coalition partners are less predictable and more assertive about deploying equipment to threat regions. The Air Force will likely be increasing bomber task force missions in the Pacific region in the coming months in response to China's aggressive expansion of its Air Force and the provocative actions it continues in sensitive areas near Taiwan and Japan. Air Force Chief of Staff General Charles Brown said the military service is concerned that China has a larger air presence in the Pacific region than the one that the United States currently maintains. He stopped short of specifying any particular measures he might direct in response to that presence, though. He did say there was a realistic possibility of increasing the Air Force footprint in the Pacific region, and noted that U.S. allies in the area are increasingly playing a vital role in deterring China's aggressive tactics. Brown told the National Interest on the sidelines of the Air Force Association's annual symposium that the military service was doing a lot of analysis wargaming to determine what he said would be the right force capability for bombers, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and command and control. He said the Air Force would continue its use of bomber task forces wherein key aircraft, such as B-2 Spirit bombers, B-1B Lancer bombers, and even theater air sustainment packages with F-35 jets uptick patrols and deterrence operations in the region. What might an increased U.S. presence in the Pacific look like? Certainly, it might leverage existing land bases where service assets already operate, such as U.S. air bases in Guam. It also seems entirely realistic that more U.S. platforms could operate from friendly allied locations in places such as Australia and Japan or additional Southeast Asian countries. Japan, Taiwan, and Australia add another element to this ongoing buildup in the region among U.S. allied forces. For instance, Japan is not only buying the Air Force RQ-4 Global Hawk drones for regional surveillance, but the country is in the early stages of a massive, multi-billion F-35x2. Some reports say the Japanese plan to operate well over 150 F-35 fighter jets, to include a mix of F-35B and F-35C variants. Given the ability with which F-35 jets are known to be able to securely link to one another through a multifunctional advanced data link, it certainly seems realistic that larger numbers of U.S. F-35 jets could transit to the Pacific region for and operate in close coordination with Japanese and Australian F-35 jets. More B-52 Stratofortress bombers and B-2 Spirit bombers could also either rotate through more quickly or permanently base in the Pacific region should allied locations open up. This would further support the Air Force's recent expansion of bomber task forces, something that gained momentum earlier this year. The Air Force began increasing bomber task force patrols to make sure the United States and its coalition partners were less predictable and more assertive about deploying equipment to threat regions. Chris Osborne is the defense editor for the National Interest. Osborne previously served at the Pentagon as a highly qualified expert with the Office of the Assistant Secretary of the Army, Acquisition, Logistics and Technology. Osborne has also worked as an anchor and on-air military specialist at national TV networks. He has appeared as a guest military expert on Fox News, MSNBC, the Military Channel, and the History Channel. He also has a master's degree in comparative literature from Columbia University. China has added a massive ship to its fleet of maritime patrol vessels in the South China Sea, state media has reported. The 560-ton Haishuan 03 was launched on Tuesday and will become the largest ocean patrol ship under the Hainan Maritime Safety Administration, or MSA, the official China news service reported, adding that it would help Hainan authorities enforce jurisdiction independently. Hainan is an island province off the south of the mainland and includes a municipality in the disputed Paracel Islands from which it administers China's territorial claims in the South China Sea. Chinese official documents suggest that China regards Hainan's jurisdiction as covering about 2 million square kilometers, 772 square miles, of maritime area, though boundaries are not clearly demarcated, and that jurisdiction is not recognized by its neighbors. According to news reports, The Haishuan-03 will conduct maritime patrol and law enforcement, search and rescue, emergency coordination and command, and prevention and control of ship pollution in the South China Sea and surrounding waters. China claims historical rights to most of the South China Sea, but its claims are not supported by international law and are widely contested, including its assertion of the right to police disputed seas. Besides the Coast Guard Force, the MSA also has a role in fronting China's maritime sovereignty and rights protection, notes Colin Koh, a research fellow at the S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies in Singapore. If Haishuan-03 is deployed on a regular basis to the Spratlys, for example, it won't be particularly out of the blue since MSA has deployed large patrol vessels before to the area. Koh said the deployment would still contribute toward reinforcing the impression that Beijing exercises jurisdiction in the South China Sea, and it contributes to its narrative also about providing so-called common public goods to mariners in the area. China has invested heavily in patrol ships and its Coast Guard, even as international criticism of its conduct in the South China Sea to assert its sweeping claims there has grown. The Haishuan-03 is 128.6 meters long, travels at 20 knots, and has a range of around 10,000 nautical miles. It can also patrol at sea for 60 days without supplies. The ship has a maritime data center equipped with advanced integrated monitoring systems, according to Chinese media. It's also designed with a hangar to carry multiple helicopters. The ship is expected to be officially commissioned in March 2022. China's maritime surveillance fleet, which far exceeds those of its Southeast Asian neighbors, is estimated at more than 300 vessels, but only a handful are above 3,000 tons.